Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw. We are live from the 336 once again for episode 160 of the 815 Exchange. That is absolutely insane, okay? That is insane. We've done 160 straight weeks. 160 straight weeks of me sitting in front of a camera and talking about the best, the latest, the greatest in both sports and entertainment. So, for the 160th week, we've got the return of football. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Yes, let me hear you. Football is back. Now, I know we've had the preseason. Okay, we've talked a little bit about the preseason. But we've got actual football. College football. It's back. All right, it was week 1. But we're still having a college football segment because that's how badly I missed having college football. So college football is back. We got combat sports. We got the end of world championships. We got entertainment. We got everything. All right, this episode has everything. Hope you guys will enjoy it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. And as always, everything you're looking for, timestamps should be layered into the video. But as always, are provided in the description along with all of my social media links. I hope you guys enjoyed the little bit of the editing flex. I know the episode came out a lot later than usual last week. We had a little bit of some operating issues with this dear MacBook Air. Had some struggles last week, so hopefully it's able to push through and, you know, make a full recovery this week as, we look to continue the momentum and keep it rolling. Now, normally we start off with college football, but these are normal circumstances. This is episode 160, and we do have a combat sports section, so I feel like it would just be wrong if I did not start with the fight game. Okay? Combat sports is so probably gracefully laid out in a nice little graphic. A lot of y'all like that, so we're going to keep that rolling. I like that lower third anyway. Alexander Usyk. Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, the heavyweight champion of the world. I think he has every single belt except for, I forget which, of course, there's WBO, WBA. I honestly not going to be able to tell you which exactly one it is. But I know I'm pretty sure Fury has one of them. Or so. He's not undisputed, alright? But Usyk has, I think, 3 of the 4 belts and the lineal belt anyway. So, with that said, or maybe Fury has the lineal belt, but Usyk has... Anyways, he has all the belts except for one, okay? But Usyk taking on his mandatory Daniel Dubois. Nobody was giving Daniel Dubois a chance going into this. Not even I. Okay, when I heard about, Usyk Dubois, I was like, Dubois, he's a solid heavyweight, but listen, it's Alexander Usyk. He's been on the pound-for-pound list for a decade. He wiped out cruiserweight. He jumped up the heavyweight and made it look easy. He's Usyk, alright? There's no way, okay? The Ukrainian has got it. And honestly, look at it on paper, you would say, hey, alright, you look at this, you go, okay, Usyk, 9th round stoppage, knocked him down twice, I think, in that 9th round, knocked him down, I think, the round before. Usual, Usyk probably, I believe, outpunched him as well. Well, I don't believe, I know, I watched the fights. But you thinking, alright, usual Usyk stuff, dominated, blah, 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 blah. Of course, unfortunately, we have to talk about some controversy in boxing, because what would boxing be without controversy? Daniel Dubois hits Alexander Usyk in the belt line in round 5. Usyk was down for an amount of time that would have rendered a KO, which would then make Daniel Dubois completely shaken up the entire division, but would have made Daniel Dubois the WBO, the WBA, a lot of titles. Okay, would have completely altered the course of history. But for whatever reason, it was ruled a low blow. And Usyk was given about 6 to 8 minutes of time to basically recover from the low blow or body shots. And, of course, we know how the rest of the fight went. Now, I had an issue. Honestly, it was not. Listen, Usyk won this fight. He was winning just about, probably, you could argue, he won every single round of this fight. Even the 5th. But it was not a good win. It was not a good win for Usyk. You're thinking, Chris, how are you going to say a heavyweight champion knocking out another heavyweight contender? How is that a bad win? It was not a good win. It was not an impressive performance to me from Alexander Usyk. It just felt a little like he was really pandering to the ref. I mean, really pandering to the ref. Any like little glimpse of getting hurt that he took, it seemed like he took offense. Like he couldn't believe that Dubois was actually hitting him, or he couldn't believe that Dubois hit him with his body shot that hurt. So this can't be right, right? This can't be right. It had to be a low blow. Like he was calling for low blows before then, and I was like, those aren't low blows. He's hitting the top of your waistline. That's not your groin, right? Everybody, you see how boxer shorts are, right? They're halfway up your abs. I'm like, let's be real here. So I didn't really like the way Usyk was fighting, and I'm not saying that from a stylistic part. I just think it was weird. I don't know if he was just in a mood or what it was, but it was almost cowardly performance from Alexander Usyk, if that's the right word to use. Not that I'm calling the heavyweight champion a coward, but it was, I don't know, it was just a pitiful performance. All right, it sucked. Okay, it was not impressive at all. Saw a different angle, the Dubois shot, of course, that we're talking about in the fifth. It was an uppercut, so I can see how maybe it got his cup, and, you know, that could have caused the issue. But, of course, look where it finished. It looked like it was on the waistline. But, of course, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, a lot of controversy in that Usyk-Dubois match. Usyk wins. Of course, I think the logical choice is obviously Tyson Fury next. We'll see if that fight gets done. But, yeah, Usyk with a not great performance against Dubois, despite it looking great on paper. UFC had an event in Singapore. Of course, it was headlined by Max Blessed Holloway taking on the Korean Zombie. And what would end up being the Korean Zombie's last fight, because the best is still blessed. With an, you know, Volk is blessed too. So we'll count Volk as also blessed. But in this case, we're talking about the blessed one himself, Mr. Max Holloway, repping for Hawaii. Of course, all proceeds, I think, from that event, or some of the proceeds. I know UFC made some donations. And of course, my own prayers go up to Hawaii and dealing with the wildfire scenario crisis currently going on. I think there was another wildfire, not just on that island that I cannot remember the name of, but I believe there's another one going on. So yeah, prayers to Hawaii and everybody, you know, family that is dealing with that. But yes, Max Blessed Holloway came through, and it was Max. All right, Max is he's an enigma. He needs to donate his body to science. When Max is done and when he passes on, hopefully a very, 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 very long time from now, he needs to donate his body to science, because we need to know if it was vibranium, titanium, or just steel, what his chin was made of, okay? Because Zombie was hitting Max with some stuff. Now, Max has some solid defense, but you can hit Max. You can hit him. He just won't fall. For whatever reason, he will not fall. And he did not fall. But for all intents and purposes, he was piecing up Zombie. Yeah, Zombie at the start of round 3, or between rounds 2 and round 3, basically said, you know what? I'm going out on my shield. If this is it, I'm not going to win the title. I'm retiring here. I am going out on my shield. And he did just that. Went out in a fire ablaze. Unfortunately, ended up with a highlight reel knockout for Max. But still, a blaze of glory. And honestly, that send-off, you know, it was a perfect send-off in a way for Korean Zombie. And one of the best send-offs I think I've seen for a combat sports athlete, and especially in the UFC. He got knocked out, yes, but it wasn't like knocked out, we got to send him to the hospital knockout. Got knocked out, he was able to get up, remain conscious, was able to give the interview, and basically got to do the proper send-off, and then it was just tears. I think I teared up, actually, sitting on the couch over there, watching it on the TV. I think I teared up as well, seeing, you know, his team, his family tear up, and just kind of them sing his song as he walks out, just this legend. So yeah, just an incredible moment at the end of that fight, even though he did not win. But yeah, Max, listen, he's 18-0 against the rest of that division, and 0-3 versus Volk. That should pretty much summarize what's going on at featherweight, okay? Volk can beat Max, but Max can beat everybody else. And that is the problem right there, because we can't keep giving fights to Max because he's 0-3 and he's about to get swept if, you know, we fight him again. But Max keeps beating everybody that tries to come up. So we just got a dilemma there. But yeah, Mad Max, the best is still blessed. He gets it done versus Zombie, but Zombie went out on a shield. All credit due. Co-main event, we had Ryan Spahn taking on Anthony Smith. Okay? I dropped this like key thing, so I had to let my brain process for a second. But Anthony Smith, okay? Lionheart Smith. And you know what? He got the win. I mean, it was real graps. All right, it was real graps. That eye was disgusting. Still finished the fight. Got the split decision win. Well-deserved win. But my problem came with what Lionheart came mouthing off about Potide. And listen, y'all must have forgot. Or you must not know. Okay? You can't have forgot because it's been too soon to forget. So you just must not know. Apparently, Lionheart Smith wants to feel the power because he was talking crazy about Alex, about, you know, an undeserved title shot, about, you know, he's got something to prove. I'm not, you know, basically he's not sold, all right? He's not sold on Alex Pereira at light heavyweight. He said he looks like everybody else. He's no longer just bigger and stronger than everybody else, which is not true because he still looks massive at light heavyweight. And here's the other truth. He would knock Lionheart Smith cold. If they ever matched up. Which, you know what? Since he wants to poke the bear, may happen. Because Alex would definitely be game for that. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Lionheart barking up what I believe is the wrong tree. We will see what happens, like I said. But yeah, that could be very, very grim for him in the very, very, very near future. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I said football was back, so let me give you some football. College football. Oh my goodness, it feels so good to just see it. It's been so long. I mean, goodness. Of course, it was week 1, so, you know, we didn't have everybody playing like we will have this next week, but, you know, we still had some matchups I'll talk about. Notre Dame and USC. Shout out to the rivalry. Of course, I get to talk about Fight On. But first off, the first game of the season, Notre Dame and Navy in Ireland. I'm sure the Irish fans are very confused on why the Americans sent their Navy and let them get beat up like this. Like, they're just probably very, very confused. But, nonetheless, it was a great environment. Unfortunately, Jason Garrett was commentating, so that was not great on the ears. And it wasn't really a great game, to be honest, unless you were a Notre Dame fan or just completely starved for football, which, you know, I watched it maybe a little bit longer than I should have. Because of that. The Fighting Irish get the win 42-3. It was just complete domination. Honestly, the most interesting matchup in this game was the beer battle between Coach Newberry, the head coach for Navy, and Sam Hartman. Okay, that was the most compelling fight. We got the gray beard of Newberry. We got the long black. I mean, Sam Hartman looks majestic, all right? Listen, okay? I mean, he looks majestic, all right? Bro looks majestic. Y'all know what I mean? Listen, Sam Hartman, look at him with the long black hair, the jet black beard. It's a good look for him. He looks like I don't know. Looks like I don't know. You make him up in a movie or a show or some hero from old times. I can't exactly pinpoint the period right now because I'm trying to think sports as well. But he just is majestic look. All right, it's a good look for Sam Hartman. He goes 9 for. You know what else was a good look for Sam Hartman? The way he played in this game. Because now people are like, yo, Sam Hartman, by the way, in his 6th year of football here in college football, 19 for 23, 251, and 4 touchdowns for the former Wake Forest QB. Estimate had 95 yards at a touchdown. It felt like he had an Adrian Peterson 200-yarder in this game. That's how dominant it felt. But, yeah, he only had 95 and 1. It felt like more, though. Jaden Greathouse. Okay, now we're going to talk about another freshman receiver that really stole the show. But in the first game, it was Greathouse's. All right, 3 receptions, 68 yards, 2 touchdowns for the freshman. Former Westlake receiver was his quarterback was Cade Klubnik, who is now the starting QB at Clemson. So we'll see how Cade does this coming week and going on the season. A lot of expectations on him. But yeah, Greathouse, he was great. No pun intended. Sam Hartman was majestic, no pun intended. And yeah, the beer battle was great, but Navy was not. Notre Dame crushes Navy. The second game, USC, fight on. We took on San Jose State. Of course, we have once again resumed. And it's been a long time. It's been a really long time since we have truly been the villains of the college football world. But between hiring Lincoln Riley, having Caleb Williams as our quarterback, being good, and moving to the Big Ten, which I'm not a big fan of, we have assumed one of the top positions as one of the supervillains of the sport once again, and it feels good, frankly, because it's only right. Okay? It's only right. It only feels right when everybody else hates us. That means we're doing something right. Okay? If USC is all out beloved, then something catastrophic has happened. So, the most hated team, or one of the most hated teams in the nation, took on San Jose State. Of course, big eyes going to be on this game, not just because of Caleb, because of our defense. Well, starting off with Caleb. Caleb looked like Caleb, not fully Caleb, but still looked like the Heisman winner, future number one overall pick. I don't know if he's generational, even though that's my guy. Let's calm down on that. But 18 for 25, 278, and 4 touchdowns to kick off the second Heisman campaign is not too bad at all. So, yeah, Caleb did his thing. Austin Jones continues to be a model of consistency that we can count on. 2 touchdowns for AJ in this one, but Zach Branch stole the show. Zachariah Branch, Bishop Gorman, former number 1 this past year, the number 1 receiver recruit in the country compared to Tyreek Hill, called the most electric freshman in the country, and he did absolutely nothing to disprove any of that. None of that to disapprove any of that in this game. He ends up with 154 yards combined, including a 96-yard kick return, which of course accounted for most of that, but 2 touchdowns as well. He was electrifying. Absolutely electric. He looked like, I mean, we haven't had a playmaker like that in terms of just like big playability, being electric, since Adoree, who was the last person to, by the way, catch a touchdown and have a return, I believe, in a game for USC as a freshman. So, yeah, I don't think we've had anybody since Adoree that was like that. I know he was like, maybe Raleek last year. By the way, Raleek Brown will be in the transfer portal this coming year. So, for anybody who wants him, he will be there because he has been buried on the depth chart. But anyways, Zach Branch is that guy. Zach is, in fact, that guy. Believe the hype. He was phenomenal. And that was just his first game. We have him for another 3 years. God is good. God is so good. Now, all was not perfect for the Trojans. The defense still looked susceptible. I'm not a big fan of Alex Grinch, but we were still very susceptible. Now, I want to give credit where credit was due. All right, Chevin Cordero is a good quarterback. He had 253 touchdowns. Nick Nash had 6 receptions, 89 yards, and a hat trick. Okay, San Jose State is a good team. Okay, they are a good team. I don't want to sit here. I'm not going to sit here, and this is not me being a homer. San Jose State is going to be a good team this year, okay? This is not me, like I said, being a homer or trying to ride for my team. This is me being objective. San Jose State is a good team. But you still want to play a little bit better defensively. Now, there were some improvements. The D-line looked a little bit better, right? Those, Bear Alexander, Anthony Lucas, those were nice additions. They showed up at certain points in this game. Mason Klobb is a great linebacker. If we can get Eric Gentry back where he was playing before his injury last season, that could be a really good duo. Tackett Curtis, the freshman, is going to be a very good player. Okay, potentially a future first rounder. I wouldn't be shocked. That could be a really good linebacking corp. The DBs, I'm not completely sold on. But it's better. It's getting better, but it's still to be determined, all right? Giving up 28 at home to San Jose State is not the greatest thing. You don't want to, as we did last year, have to score 40, 50, 60 points a game to win. That's not going to win us anything meaningful. So, you want to see this team get better, but it was game 1. San Jose State is going to be a good team. So credit where credit was due, and we'll see. College football is back. Of course, we'll talk about it properly next week and probably the headlining segments. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, entertainment. Woo! You know what I finally saw? You know what I saw? Oppenheimer. Finally, a month after it came out, boys. A month after. But you know what? I saw Oppenheimer. Shout out, by the way. National Cinema Day is the greatest. I mean, it's the greatest invention of all time. $4 movie tickets, which is really $6 including tax. But, I mean, that is just beautiful. All right, that's beautiful. So we went to go see Oppenheimer yesterday. All right, Cillian Murphy was phenomenal. Okay, by the way, the movie was worth the hype. Okay, this is essentially what I'm going to be saying throughout this entire, what I'm about to count through. The movie was 100% worth the hype. Probably the best movie I've seen this year. and probably could end up being, I mean, depending on future watches, one of my favorite movies of all time. I wouldn't be shocked. All right, it was an excellent movie. Okay, it was an excellent movie. Christopher Nolan, as we know, is a genius, and his genius was in full effect in this movie, telling the story of J. Robert Oppenheimer. Now, Oppie was great. Cillian Murphy was great as him. Once again, he is one of the best actors in the world. Those of us that watch any of his stuff, okay, not just Peaky Blinders, even though that's like the most famous one, I guess, besides maybe him being Scarecrow. But Cillian was great. Okay, he was phenomenal. He just has this like. His face is so unique, and the way he's able to like emote and sell despair is just it's different. It's one of the things that makes him special. When he was able to really sell all of Oppie's and just what he was going through, he was able to convey that very, 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 very well. Emily Blunt, I wasn't completely sold because I mean, you know, faintly, right? And I liked history back in high school and back when I was a student, so I knew a little bit. You know, obviously you've heard of Oppenheimer, but I don't know the full story. Like, I looked up stuff before the movie, right? I knew who Kitty Oppenheimer was, but I didn't know her full story. So at first I wasn't sold, especially seeing, by the way, Florence was great as everybody, but Florence was great as Jean. But seeing, you know, Jean and Oppie's relationship and seeing that, I was a little bit kind of hesitant on Kitty and like what was her impact going to be. But the way that Emily Blunt came through in the second half, and especially during that hearing, oh my goodness. Oh my, it was like a reminder, yo, this is Emily Blunt, and by the way, Kitty Oppenheimer was a G, okay, because Kitty was a G. What a great wife. I mean, an excellent wife. Did not deserve at all to get cheated on, by the way. And I'm not saying her staying with him is the reason why she was a great wife, but oh my goodness, an absolute ride or die. A ride or die. Model wife. So shout out to Kitty Oppenheimer, because that scene actually did happen in real life. RDJ was incredible, which I think it was genius by Nolan or whoever was the probably Nolan, casting director, to have RDJ play this like slow reveal of a villain. I think that was just a great role because a lot of RDJ's roles are played off of his charisma, right? He's very charismatic. He has this arrogant confidence to him, right? And we've seen him so much as Iron Man that's been played into like him having that in this protagonist role. So seeing it kind of played into like an antagonist role was like, it was like the cherry on top. All right, he was such a great like, and you don't even know he's the villain unless you know the story. You don't know he's the villain until this great reveal at the end where it's like everything's breaking down. He's trying to get put into the cabinet. He gets rejected, and then it's just like all like falls out that he was kind of behind Oppie's downfall, basically off of jealousy. And then that great line of, I believe Oppenheimer and Einstein were talking about something far more important than you. That was just a great, great line that just kind of summarized this up. Funny that they used that line of I have become death during a sex scene. But I like the way they ended it with the Einstein conversation at the end anyway. But yeah, Nolan is an absolute genius. This was basically the Avengers for physicists and scientists. There was 10 different Nobel Prize winners in this movie. And that's not counting people like Heisenberg or, so on and so forth. That could go on about that were in this movie, okay? If you were a history buff or a science buff or a physicist buff, this was probably the greatest movie of all time for you. But for me, it was just an excellent, excellent movie. Probably going to win absolutely everything, especially with all the movies getting delayed basically from this point on because of the strikes. Probably going to sweep a bunch of stuff at the Oscars, and it will be well-deserved. Oppenheimer, worth the hype. So, so good. Winning time. All right, if you're not watching this, please watch this. I need season 3. I need it. The people, I need it like we need water, okay? We need it, okay? And I'm glad to see it picking up some steam on, Twitter and, online. Because it deserves it. It's a really good show. Another really good episode. Everything imploded, okay? Hell froze over in this episode. Of course, this is the infamous Magic asks for a trade. Which I think actually in real life, I'm kind of trying to get the storyline right here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Those that, and of course I could go back and look. But Magic requested a trade after they won the championship. Right? The season after they won the championship. Not the season after the Celtics won it. If I'm correct. Not his third season, but his second season, I believe. But in the show here, it's done in the third season, not his second season. So I believe that's right. So I'm trying to get the timeline and make sure they didn't make like a gaffe, but nobody's mentioned it. So maybe it's right. But anyways, Magic asks for a trade. Everything's imploded. Bus wants to marry Honey. Genie is just not with that at all. We're seeing again the Pat Riley slowly but surely building that relationship with Magic and just kind of slowly but surely coming to power. Paul Westhead is going insane and he just wants the power. The system's actually working, but Magic is unhappy and that's not going to go. Of course, we know how the story actually ends, but of course, it'll be interesting to see how it goes over this narrative and see what happens in real life for those that do not know. And of course, if you don't want it spoiled about what's going to happen next, time to skip. Paul Westhead gets fired less than 24 hours after Magic requests a trade. We will see what happens in the show. But yeah, that's how fast they made a choice. But Winning Time, one of the best shows on television. Go watch it. Music. We actually have music this week. Moment of Time, Moment of Your Life by Brent and Coco Jones. By the way, I don't know if this came out last week, but I saw it this week. It was really, really good. Okay? It was really, really, really good. Brent rarely, if ever misses. And Coco Jones, of course, it is her time currently. So yeah, they were great. Great R&B track. Dave and teamed up with Tiakola for a special. Dave's first verse had me a little iffy, which doesn't usually happen with Santon Dave. But had me a little iffy. Came through at the end. It all came together and it worked for me. But I was a little bit, but it's alright. It gets the co-sign for me. It gets the playlist. Anything else in music? No albums really dropped, which was good. We needed a little bit of a break. I think Fantasize by Ariana Grande leaked, by the way. That's heat. I'm not gonna lie. Even as not a massive pop fan, that was sounded like old Britney Spears. But yeah, that's entertainment. Let's talk about World Championships, shall we? World Championships finishes up. Now, I got to talk about Noah Lyles, okay? I had to talk about the good for Noah Lyles. The 3 gold medals and not... Okay. Noah. We're fighting, okay? We're out here fighting in the trenches for track and field to be given, like, regular relevancy outside of the Olympics and sometimes World Championship time. Like, we're fighting, okay? We're fighting for that. And I get what he was trying to say. I really do. I get what he was trying to say because technically the NBA or the NFL or, the MLB, right? It's a domestic competition. Technically. So I get what he's saying. And the World Championships, track and field is, you've got all these people from different countries. But he's still wrong. He's still wrong and got cooked by every single member of the NBA community. Every single player. We're fighting for We're fighting for relevancy out here for track and field. And one of its biggest stars is out here getting called corny and just getting cooked in everybody's IG comments and on Twitter for this comment. It can't happen. It can't happen. All right, he's wrong. He was wrong. I get what he was trying to say, but he was wrong because it's the highest form of competition, right? In track and field, the world champion, that's how it works. There's no teams, right, in track and field. Right? Just like the Diamond League would be like the highest form, or here, World Championships or Olympics is the highest form of competition. Right? There's no teams in track and field. In tennis, right? You got the US Open, Wimbledon, blah, 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 blah. Right? Highest form of competition. It's not like there's teams or anything. Okay? So it's a little bit different there. But also, the NFL, the NBA, which he specifically said, so I'll say the NBA, is the highest form of basketball team competition in the world. You have the best players in the world, not just from America, but from Greece, Slovenia, all these different, France, Slovakia, all these different places. You have the best players in the world from those nations playing on these teams. So it is a world competition in a way. It's just the teams are all domestic. So they do have the right to call themselves world champions because honestly, let's keep it a buck. EuroLeague, second best competition. You throw an NBA team out there, maybe they have to, deal with the difference in rules. They're probably winning. You throw Barcelona. You bring Barcelona over to, the States during the lottery. High lottery. That's me being full on respect. You have former NBA players over there. So let's not get it confused with just because it's a domestic competition. It's not. They're still world champions. They're the best team in the world. We can play for it. It's not going to be pretty for the European teams or wherever you want to bring teams from. And once again, you have players from all different nations on these teams. It's a world competition. But anyways, I want to talk about the good with Noah, not him getting cooked on social media. He won 3 gold medals this year at the World Championships. It was beautiful. He established himself as the fastest man in the world and as the best sprinter on God's green earth. Well deserved. Tripled up with the 4x100 win, which he anchored, and by winning the 200 with a 19.52, so no world record, not even close. I didn't expect him to, and a lot of people were like, yo, he could break it. I'm like, he's still got 0.2 seconds to get off, unless he shaves that, which would be insane. An insane jump. Don't expect that to happen. And it did happen, but 19.52, of course, is still very, 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 very extremely fast. By the way, fastest 200 meet ever. Everybody had a PR under 20 seconds. Arian Knighton, the teenager, 19 years old, second with 19.75. He's going to be special. Tobago, who's only 1 year older than, finished third with a 19.81. And yeah, Lyles, he was phenomenal. Not great with the press, but he is still that guy. Do not get it confused with the, quote-unquote corny comment. He's a superstar. He's the best sprinter in the world, and he's American. So, shout out to Noah. Shericka Jackson wins the 200 for the women, which was, once again, stacked. The 200 fields were stacked. But Shericka wins the 200 with a 21.41. Flojo's record is in absolute jeopardy. That 21.36 or 21.35. That is going to fall very, very soon. As soon as Shericka gets to a fast track, that is going to fall. Gabby got second, and Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri. And I'm like, Sha'Carri, smoke him on and off the track. Miss Richardson herself gets the bronze here, but she also got the gold in the 4x1, holding off Shericka Jackson, like she did in the 100, to win the 4x1. So yeah, we got the 4x1 speed. Sha'Carri has established herself as a superstar with 3 medals here at the World Championship, setting herself up very, very nicely for Paris next year. Glad to see the girl go off. Of course, Shericka is a problem. She is probably taking the throne as the best Jamaican sprinter. Hope Shelly-Ann, who may or may not have been injured during that relay, hope she gets back healthy and we can see her at her best. But yeah, really cool. That 4x1 for the women's also a championship record. So yeah, shout out to the gals. Let's talk about some distance legends or middle distance legends getting some revenge, yeah? Femke, we saw her fall in the the medley 4x4. No fall in here. 400 meter hurdles, excuse me. No Sid, no problem. Femke, not a record, of course, but still, it's her event at this point. She gets her revenge. And then in the 4x4, yesterday, runs down the whole field after a pretty sizable gap. It was honestly like that old Matthew Bowling clip of him in high school where he ran down everybody. That's kind of what happened, but Femke Bowl did it on the world stage in the 4x4. So yeah, Femke got her revenge this week. Jacob did have a great 1500, but boy, oh boy, did he get revenge for, I think, his third in the 5K. So yeah, Jacob gets revenge. Mary Moore, by the way, huge upset of Kelly Hodgkinson and Atingmo. Yeah, Atingmo. I had to make sure I said Ating's name right. Yeah, she gets a massive upset, so that was probably one of the bigger upsets of the week, beating the Olympic gold and silver medalist. Mo was the reigning defending Olympic gold medalist and World Championships gold medalist. So, yeah, huge upset there. And, yeah, overall, though, despite injuries, America's had a really, really good World Championships. We will see where we go from there, and we will see what happens with track and field. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Roundup. NASCAR. Let's get speedy with it. Chris Buescher. RFK. In the building. Bracket, listen. There's a couple different ways at Daytona. Alright? I said it was going to be chaos. We got chaos off about 70 laps early. And from there, it was pretty plain sailing. Okay? If you can get with your teammate and y'all can stay out in front and, y'all don't wreck each other, you're golden. And that's what happened. He was dead set on getting Chris this win. He gets his 3rd win of the season. So yeah, shout out to Busher. They got a lot of momentum going into the chase. And with Busher not being a new winner, that means Bubba survives. So how about it for Bubba Wallace? Love it for him. He was incredibly anxious. I know some people might think it's rude that he didn't give like the pre-race interview or whatever, decline the interview. But as someone that has been around Bubba, and I guess to an extent knows Bubba, very, very competitive. I don't think it was meant as like a disrespect thing. I think it was just he was locked in and he didn't want any outside distractions. That's just kind of how he works. He talked to Scott Dixon before the race, the IndyCar legend. So yeah, he just needs to be locked in. He survives. He gets it done. So yeah, shout out to Bubba. Shout out to the whole team at 2311. My former employer for a summer, the best summer of my life actually. So yeah, shout out to him. Bubba's in. Busher gets his 3rd. NASCAR on to the playoffs. F1 returns. And you know who won. You know. I don't even really need to say his name, but I have to say his name because he made history. Max Verstappen ties Alberto Ascari and the great Sebastian Vettel, who also did this for Red Bull, for the most consecutive wins in F1 history with 9. He will likely break it at Monza next week, but he gets his 9th win of the season at his home Grand Prix, the Dutch Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso, who was absolutely great in that Aston Martin this past week, he gets 2nd. Pierre Gasly! Pierre goes and gets 3rd, so yeah, shout out to P. That was really cool. That was cool to see Gasly get it. Checo, it was the best and the worst. It was the race was chaotic because the rain was coming, and then it would go, and then it would come back. It was all over the place. And unfortunately, Logan Sargent made Q3, wrecked the car. Then here, has some tech problems with the car. He wrecks the car, so some high moments for Sargent, some low moments for Sargent, but James Vowles continues to be one of the best team principals, and he is riding and dying behind Logan. Alexander Albon was great all weekend, even though he didn't get that podium. He again shows that he is an emerging talent, truly, in the sport. George Russell and Charles Leclerc just had a horrible day, a horrible Sunday. It was the worst Sunday. George started off 3rd. He finished like 16th. His car just wouldn't go. Bad strategy. Charles tried to box and they didn't have tires ready, and then the car failed. It just was not good. Okay, it just wasn't good for Charles and George. They just had a disaster class. But yeah, that was the Dutch Grand Prix. Next week we'll talk about Max doing something that nobody ever did before. So yeah, look forward to that if you're an F1 fan. Victor Hovland has been one of the, I don't want to call him a household name because he's not yet a household name, but he's been like one of the, let's say best golfers. He's been one of the best golfers in the world for about the past, honestly, year and a half. He's been one of those guys. Constant contender in majors. And now he delivers with the FedEx Cup and the Tour Championship by winning both with a 27 under. So yes, a great weekend for Victor. He was pretty much on top all weekend and just nobody could catch him. Nobody could catch him. He finished 5 shots ahead. A 27 under once again is ludicrous. But yes, Hovland, he was that guy and he's been that guy for a while. And this was just kind of like the stamping of I'm here to stay. I'm here to be a factor. And yeah, let's see what he does in the majors next year. But yes, Hovland wins the FedEx Cup and the Tours Championship. Soccer. Let's talk footy. Messi scored again, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Pulisic and Jude Bellingham. 2 former Borussia Dortmund players. Don't know if their paths ever crossed. I think Jude came in the year after I think Christian left. But nonetheless, Christian Pulisic moved over to AC Milan, and he has been that guy. He has been that guy. 2 for 2. He's 2 for 2 right now with Milan. They're looking good. He's looking great. I'm happy. The American savior is back. Pulisic firing off. Not quite Pulley from, lockdown Pulley. Streets will never forget. But still looking very, very good. So we'll see what Christian and Milan can do in Serie A. Jude Bellingham. Oh my goodness. Jude. Jude has scored, is this 4-3 or 5-4 or something ridiculous like that? Anyways, I think it's 4. 4 straight games he scored with Real Madrid. Only man to do that, of course, is, I think, still Cristiano Ronaldo. So that should tell you. Again, everybody was like, yo, Madrid needs to go get a striker. They have Jude Bellingham. That's all they need. That's all they need. Okay? He's been long destined to become one of the best midfielders in the world. It is looking like he is absolutely taking that place right now. I believe that 5 jersey is going to be legendary in Real Madrid history because, yeah, he is Jude Bellingham is Jude Bellingham. He is him, okay? He is him. Him moment of the week, Jude Bellingham, okay? He is that guy. Well, actually, it's probably Noah Lyles, but then he said the comment, but Jude is still him, regardless. And to end off, of course, the NFL preseason is winding down. I had a fantasy draft yesterday. I have a fantasy draft on Thursday. So for us fantasy owners and degenerate gamblers, it is our season. It is our season, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Trey Lance to the Cowboys, which cements, I guess, technically him as one of the great. It feels kind of weird to call him a draft bust, but he's a draft bust. That trade looks remarkably bad, for which John Lynch and the 49ers traded up, by the way, for Trey Lance, and just that has completely fallen apart. He always needed the development. I don't think the injury helped him, of course, but yeah. I don't hate the pick. I mean, we gave up a 4th, which is not really that much. I don't hate it. I don't hate it for us. Sit him behind Dak. He can just sit and learn, and really learn the game. He's got a lot of raw talent. You know, of course, we know what he can do with his legs. He needs to get better at throwing the ball and just kind of processing and becoming more of a QB, I guess. But I think we'll have apt time to do that with us. So, yeah. By the way, Dak Prescott, offense coordinator masterclass apparently for Will Grier, who we told we're going to cut before the game, and he still balled out. So, yeah, shout out to Will. I think we did him kind of dirty. But, yeah, Trey Lance is a Cowboy. We'll see what happens there. I don't think he's going to take Dak's spot or anything, but I don't hate it from a developmental standpoint. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that is the end of episode 160 of the 815 Exchange. I hope you guys enjoyed, but without further ado, Ocho, signing off.